You get closer to the microphone.
Closer?
There you go.
You almost want to be kissing it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
real close.
Yeah.
I haven't been this close to anybody for a while, you know.
And Finn is, he's nosy, but
It's okay.
He'll be all right.
all right, guys.
So say you're a cat person, so
I like dogs too.
Oh, okay.
I just have a cat.
I hear
Doesn't
you.
define me.
understood.
Well, Chef Michael Wards,
Yes.
Chef Kori,
Yes.
brought your Sue along with you this round.
So technically chef de cuisine these days. Well,
Okay.
I guess technically Sue, but so she will become chef de cuisine in the next 30 days.
Awesome.
So
Congratulations.
she's our
Thank you.
Sue now. She knows that, so I'm not telling her anything she doesn't already know.
Oh my
We just-
God. Just kidding.
Yeah. But, I mean, she pretty much controls creative and everything for the business these days. Like I
Awesome.
say, stand around and look pretty. So
There you go.
that's my job.
I love it.
So
Cheers, guys.
yeah, salud.
Thank you for coming back in.
Opening that ranch rider.
Nice. Salud.
Ranch Rider
Yes.
Spirits, the
Cheers.
official beverage of the Austin All Day podcast.
Yes, I may have to get a taste of that just to check it out.
And this is for those we didn't mention Austin Artisan, right? Personal, private chef.
Personal and private. Yeah. Well, it's funny. The term personal and private is kind of watered down these days, right? I think a lot of folks in our world, like 5 years ago, I kind of would get my feathers in a ruffle of no, we're not private chefs. There's a big
Well,
difference.
yeah,
And-
personal is like one person.
yeah. Well, and I was
their chef.
I used
Is
to
that
tell
the
like
distinction?
yeah, I mean, if you want to get real granular with it, like a private chef is typically one chef for one family, right? And so typically they're just an employee of the family traditionally,
Okay.
right? Like I think Mark Wahlberg has a very popular private chef that
Yeah. Oh,
he has.
does he?
He has his own Instagram, anyway. But yeah, a lot of the chefs these days that are making their way in the world as personal chefs, the business model is a little different. It's have a book of clients and do a variety of different things.
Nice.
So
Spice of life.
yeah,
It's funny because y'all have some crossover here.
We do. We've had a little talk about it.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah.
We
I mean,
saved
he's
it.
been doing it for what now? How long you been
Almost
doing
8 years.
8 years. Mm-hmm.
So-
Close to a decade.
Did either of you or yourself, Kori, do any private chefing ever? Or wait, personal? Wait, which is it?
So we're personal chefs.
So
yeah.
have you ever done any private
Like
chefing?
for one family?
Yeah,
No.
for one family. No.
No. I came from. I mean, Corey's restaurant chef. I came from the hotels and the restaurant world as well. So
Right. As did
I'm restaurant.
Chef Danny. So for those who haven't listened to the first episode,
Yeah.
I guess we can touch on a little bit of what Austin Artisan is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go for it.
Sure. So, personal, kind of a high-end personal chef services company here in Austin. We've known, I guess, really what we've been known for our flagship service are really our high-end dinner parties. We also do a customized weekly meal service, and also offer private jet catering. So, those are three worlds that we kind of dabble in.
Isn't it funny when things reoccur? Because Vish was doing
This was
private,
a private jet chef.
and that was on Monday.
Yeah. He was just in here.
Private jet catering. How does that work? You guys prep it all ahead of time, and then what service is that?
So, I mean, in the culinary world, if you'll think like a traditional caterer, just specializing specifically in private jets.
Yeah, you have to get it to a certain level because
you
they have
fly
the equipment
on
on,
these
the plane,
jets?
right?
No, we don't fly. We just take it to the FBOs, to the terminals, and drop it off. It's just, the reason that your run-of-the-mill caterer doesn't typically participate in this is because turnaround times are extremely tight. Like, they want food inside 24 hours. And it's got to be delivered to the airport, and there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through. So it's a niche within a niche,
Yeah.
right? And what's happening is there's I won't name the name, but there is a very significant company here in town that does it, that doesn't do it very well. And so a lot of companies like mine are being able to come in and kind of fill the gaps.
Nice. That's a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Is it lucrative?
Not yet. We're just getting off the ground. So, I mean, in any type of, when you create a new service line, there's a lot of money you got to plow into it on the front end, right?
Right.
To get it up and running. But it will be. I mean, by the end of 2021, it will be rocking and rolling. I mean, we've even talked about how, Corey and I've talked about how when we get to a point where it's gained critical mass, we may divide out operations and
Yeah.
like have a production facility closer to the
New
airport.
segment of business.
Yeah, and almost segment out production for the different sides of the business.
So let me ask you a question. Did you notice a difference in private travel this year?
Yeah, I mean it bottomed out too.
Yeah.
And we launched our service about 3 weeks before the shutdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wasn't even
I mean,
that. It was
well,
like-
the way we got, it's a little backstory. So the way we got into this was we've been actually cooking for a specific family that owns a fleet of jets.
Okay.
They had a flight attendant that would book directly with us. And she worked with us for years, 2 or 3 years. And eventually, and kept saying, man, you guys really, I know a ton of flight attendants. I know a ton of folks that would love your service. You just tell me when you're ready because, when you open the floodgates, the calls are going to come. And so I was a little apprehensive. We weren't quite ready. And then finally I was like, well, let's just throw spaghetti against the wall and see what happens. And when we got everything in order and got our ducks in a row, we felt ready to go. COVID came. Boom. And so, and so we backed away from it. And we can get into it, but we, like everybody, we had to pivot during the shutdown. And essentially tightened our production and really focused on what we were good at, which were the dinner parties and the meal service, and let the jet service component kind of just sit and
Be there when it was.
Yeah, be there, and so we've begun re-engaging with the terminals, and they're ready to go. We're just fine tuning our processes on the back end. So
with all that, you've got 3 different aspects of your business.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a operation that can handle all of the logistics and everything for it.
that's Kori.
Yeah,
Yeah, how
Kori's the
when you guys
mastermind behind all that.
I like it.
Well, being comfortable enough to go into something like that, how large is your team right now? I mean, you've got a chef de cuisine here.
So chef de cuisine, I have a meal service manager. So I have a chef. I've done a little bit of different approach. So typical culinary businesses are very vertical, right? You have a chef de cuisine and then sous that report to them. So we've kind of segmented things out. So Kori is essentially my chef de cuisine. So she manages any and all things creative. She writes menus. She oversees everything that happens in the kitchen and then just reports up to me. I then have a chef. I mean, if you want to call him a sous chef, his title is technically prep meal service manager. His goal is just directly manage our meal service. Kori also still manages both of the catering, so the dinner parties and the private jet. Eventually, we'll have someone come in that manages those pieces. Kori oversees the whole process.
So you procure everything?
Yes.
Write all the prep lists, do all the...
All the things,
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
The meal service manager now takes over writing that specific prep list, but I just go behind him and make sure he's got all done, and I still do his ordering. But yeah, for the most part, all the prep lists, all any and all produce products that we need for.
Yeah. Are y'all like a 24-hour operation?
Sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now it feels 24/7 for sure.
It's crazy. Luckily, we just decided to kind of divide that meal service, and that allows me to have some days off.
Yeah.
Before that, it was pretty much every day. If
So
I
you're
wasn't
doing meals like Snap Kitchen kind of stuff?
a little less cooked, so everything that we do, like if you order a piece of chicken, it's par grilled, but it's still raw in the middle. So when you get it to your house, you turn on your oven, preheat it. About 30 minutes later, you have dinner.
And you've got directions and everything.
Yeah.
For everybody. Label it. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, our niche in that world is we are the only really meal service in town that does really super highly customized meals. So
It's not a menu. It's they choose kind of.
No, we write a menu specifically for you. So we'll write a menu for you. We'll write a separate menu for Jason.
Okay.
We'll write a separate menu for Kori. Now we have ways on the back end to streamline that process, right?
You qualify
But
them
we
and
do tweak things specifically to each family so that they all have their specific needs met. And then, being able to offer essentially like an oven ready meal versus like Snap Kitchen where it's just, microwave ready. That way we can offer a much better product that, like I tell my clients is you're going to experience food as if you cooked it from scratch, but you only had to take it the last 10% of the way, right? We charged down the goal line and then put the ball in the 1-yard line, handed you the ball and you ran it in for the touchdown kind of thing.
That's a good way to sell it, right?
Yeah. And so, again, it's, I've been really, I've kind of gained my secret sauce, if you will, is just really trying to carve out my little niche in the world and just do things just a little different, and that's kind of what's kind of got us where we are.
I mean, that's kind of the life of a chef, right? I mean, there really is.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier. There's no real original thought.
No.
So how can you tweak it to get it to fit you?
Make it your own.
Yeah.
Kori, how long have you worked with Chef Michael here?
I think it's just about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah,
Not that
almost.
long, but
She probably tells you it feels like eons.
feels like
Those
years.
24-hour days.
Yeah. No, I've been working in restaurants my whole entire culinary career. And
Are you an Austinite?
no, I'm originally from California, but I've lived all over the United States. So I made my way here about 5 years ago. And about a year and a half ago, decided I just didn't want to do restaurants anymore. And just
What
by
was that?
accident. What?
What was it?
It's just the life
Yeah.
of, you're always cooking other people's food unless you're the chef de cuisine at a restaurant, but still it's so mundane after a while. There's not, for weeks at end, you're just cooking the same thing and you don't have the long days, the customers, the hours.
You're kind of getting burnt out.
Yeah.
So did you find him by chance or were you looking for it?
I mean, I was looking, but I didn't know I was looking for this.
Okay.
I just was looking for something in the culinary world that let me be creative, that wasn't a restaurant. And I didn't know what that looked like at the time. And I just stumbled upon some ad on Indeed, and I was like, well, I'm going to try this. And a few weeks later, I was in his kitchen firing people and
That's awesome.
Yes.
and taking over.
That's
So
right.
And definitely, in the time of COVID, it was a right move. Unfortunately, I hate to say this, we're not restaurants, and restaurants are not doing so well. And
Right.
it's kind of survivor's guilt. We're doing a lot better, but
I think it's fair to put it like that. But
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I never thought the term survivor's guilt, but that's exactly the way I feel.
Yeah.
I want to
It's-
be excited for how well we're doing, but I also feel bad because
I think you should.
I was part of those restaurants. If it was a year and a half ago, I'd be in the same situation as everybody else.
I left in November,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
It's an interesting dynamic, right? Because we all have friends, and we all came from that space, right? So you still, it's difficult to kind of watch it.
deteriorate?
Yeah, I was going to say
crumble.
implode.
Yeah, implode
Right.
is one thing.
I
think now the aftermath is
call it the Great Reset.
Well, and I'll tell you what's really
Yeah.
what's been to find a silver lining to it is it's been fascinating. There's an interesting duality here between watching some great established, some kind of stalwart restaurants here in Austin just kind of go away, and at the same time watch great chefs and great restaurateurs innovate and pivot, right? I mean, watching, I think of the first one that comes to my mind is Philip Spear and Gabe Arelis over there at Commodore and what they did with Assembly Kitchen and
That's genius.
all the things they did. I mean, they kept within their brand, but they were able to leverage the whole virtual component. It's the whole the cooking classes thing has just never been a passion of mine. And so I kicked that can around for a couple of weeks. Was that a pool we wanted to jump into? And I said, no, I want to stay in my lane. But yeah, it's Kori said it, that guilt, because we as an organization are, be real direct, we are doing better than we ever have, right? And so we're continuing to grow and scale and be successful. And so it's just hard to sit and watch our friends struggle as we find success.
And I mean, you got out at the right time. Unfortunately, the phrase is getting out.
yeah.
I
I mean, that's a way to describe it for sure, is getting out. And many people do I finally got out. And, I went to school for this.
You signed up for it.
I signed up for it, but
Right.
I got out. And I think that also with everything that's going on, it may bring a really good change to the industry. And like you said, a reset. And I think that's a really great thing, because there's a lot wrong with the industry.
I was having a conversation today, and it's the organizations that were very thoughtful about how they operated their business, and those who were, now there's both sides of the coin here, but those that were not running tight operations, probably didn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, you go downtown, you got like 80% gone.
It's been tough to see. So this success,
Yeah.
you attribute it to folks not going out and wanting someone coming to their home. It's safer.
For sure. Well, if you step back and you look at buyer behavior over the last 3 to 5 years, and you look at the culinary world in a macro, you see that just the idea of bringing food to people versus people coming to food, that trend has been gaining critical mass, right? Through the deliveries and through just things being more accessible. I think what happened was that COVID was a
Skyrocketed.
yeah.
That.
I mean, it was either a roller coaster that shot people up, or it was a brick wall that people ran
That trend is like everything is available. Like people don't want to go to the movies because you can just get HBO Max and watch half.
Everything's available at your house.
Yeah. That idea of instant gratification, right?
That's right there.
It's sad when you say that because, well, although you guys do the private and personal deal, it's so lovely to go out to eat.
It is lovely, but
It is. I mean, I love to go out to eat, right?
I'm sure it's lovely.
I love to go out to eat.
But when you create an experience for somebody, that's also special.
And during COVID, I mean, a lot of people that are probably your clients have spent time and effort and money in their kitchens to make it more fun.
Well, and what we've seen is, like I said, buyer behavior has certainly shifted. We started seeing a lot of folks that would, I keep telling people, if I had $1 every time someone called me and said, so normally during my husband's birthday, we would go rent a room at X restaurant. We just either can't do that, don't feel comfortable with it, or our guests don't want to do it. So we're going to do it at home. It's like I tell folks, I never built a business to be designed to be thriving in this environment. It just kind of happened that way.
You fit
Thank God.
a need.
Yeah. And it's I don't know if we touched on it on the last time I was here, but just how I got here is really interesting because I initially went into culinary school and thought that I was going a totally and completely different direction with food.
Yeah, refresh us.
Right. So I initially came out of culinary school with the idea of my wife's a chiropractor. She does holistic medicine. And so there's this kind of Wonder Twins activate idea we had where I would go and be a personal chef and I would cook for families, but I would do this kind of culinary medicine thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know if we went down some rabbit holes last time.
I'm intrigued by that. That's
So
The healer.
Yeah, and so in fact, to kind of give you an example of that is, so we had this idea. In fact, we even built a website for it, where we would write a cookbook, and my wife, being a functional medicine doctor, holistic doctor, we would pick an ingredient, like for example, cinnamon, and she would tell you all the homeopathic and the things it does for the body, and then I would write recipes of how to incorporate it into your diet. So that was all well and good
cinnamon
when I was
sugar toast, of course.
Right? Of course, right. Cinnamon
toast
crunch. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, and then so what happened is that then I went and started working in restaurants like Second Bar and Kitchen, and learned about awesome things like foie gras and all of the things that you're not that are not healthy for
your body.
Where's the healing? Yeah. You got to heal after this one.
Exactly.
Balance.
And just kind of that's where I got that, pardon the pun, but that taste or that flavor, that desire for that high-end culinary experience. And it really shifted my entire perspective. And I specifically remember the day after I had started my business. I was probably 3 months into this, and I had a business coach, and we were kind of going through some initial stuff, and she said, you're going to need to tell your wife that like you don't want to do that anymore. She's like, you're when are you going to have that conversation? And so, I had to sit down and say, so, babe, about this whole Ward's wellness thing. So it's not really my jam anymore. And so, and then as you say, like everything's history, it's all history from there. So.
Well, so is she still doing that?
Oh yeah. She's got a very successful, thriving chiropractic practice here in town her clinic's right off the Slaughter, just on the side of Manchac.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
So you had some knowledge in this kind of like the healing properties of food. Do you ever try to continue to incorporate some of that now?
I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. I would say that it's not a passion of mine professionally. The way I eat at home, the way my family, kind of the dietary world, kind of what we eat dietarily at home, is probably not like most chefs, not most restaurant chefs at least, right? We predominantly eat gluten-free, dairy-free, stuff like that at home, right? I think for me is that since we do this customized meal service, is on occasion we do receive clients that just have a very specific, unique need, and my competitive advantage is I can talk to them on that level.
That's a good.
And I can also sometimes telegraph their needs before they do.
You ask the right questions.
And many instances I can tell them we're not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Kori can tell you we've taken on some clients before that have been have had very unique, distinct needs. And what we've come to find is that it gums up the works.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, doing that, and when you have like an assembly line or whatever, and doing that one completely different item, we have to clean everything first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Is it worth it?
I was wondering what examples might be, but might not want to open that back up.
Examples are like folks that do super autoimmune type stuff.
Yeah.
And so like the elimination diet, right?
Yeah.
So like the elimination diet where you can't do any nightshades or gluten or dairy, where literally it's just clean proteins and like green leafy vegetables. Well, that's great. What ends up happening is we had a client that ate that way, except we needed to cook 7 days a week, 3 meals a day. Imagine when your ingredient list is 3 inches long, you quickly run out of things to cook, you have to. Yeah. How do you do Brussels sprouts for the 3rd time and make it interesting, right? Without throwing bacon or maple syrup or something on it that none of that you can have. So
yeah,
it part of the, and I know this because when I built this business, one of the things I wanted to create was a workspace for chefs to come in to feel like, and hopefully Kori can echo this, is to feel like they can cook their own food.
Yeah.
And then it's, like Kori said, it's not repetitive. Mm-hmm. Since we do custom menus on all platforms, it's always something new and different. In fact, it's kind of the complete opposite of a restaurant. We never perfect anything. Just about
always revolving.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Pretty much basically about the time that we've really dialed in a dish, it's like, all right, it's time for something new because we get sick and tired of cooking it. So, and so in that world, when you bring in clients with just such a really tight goalpost of what you can cook, it almost becomes counterintuitive to what we do.
Yeah.
So you found a fashion for the French culinary buttery scene.
Yes.
What about the cooking? Do you feel like you can cook your own style of food?
I definitely. I think Michael lets me. He's never told me not to do anything. He's like, hey, let's do it. How do we do it? Yeah. I've never heard of this. Can you tell me more? So it's really great. And it's also, I get to use local farms is my favorite thing. And that's,
do you have any farms? Sorry to interrupt you. That you like a lot?
we use a lot of farm to table because they deliver and it makes it easier. JBG also, we use a lot. I love Dorsey from Hosbar for our garnishes. Believe it or not, we're the caterer or private chef that plates things with tweezers and garnishes. Yeah. And I love that. I love to be able to showcase.
He's got tweezers in his truck.
Yeah.
We do have tweezers.
I love to be able to showcase all the local produce that Austin has and Texas.
It's a great city for that.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is from Texas. So it's really great olive oil. You can get really good olive oil.
Texas olive oil company.
Citrus is now available at JBG.
Yeah, they get the G and, what is it? G&S?
G&S.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Kori's been a game changer for us, right? Sincerely, and I'd say this whether she was sitting next to me or not. Her ability to come in and elevate our food. She's brought in, I'd never worked with Dorsey prior to. I'd worked with JBG and Farm to Table to a bit, but her depth of knowledge on food and sourcing, and she came in and I said, here's the keys to the kingdom, right? Here's the goalpost, keep it between, don't put us in the ditch, but go. And she just killed it.
Oh,
so
wow.
Congratulations.
I like your your style of your choices.
And being an ambassador for the local farms and ranchers in town.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's incredible. That's what we can do to give back as chefs.
It's always been a passion of mine to be farm to table, to use as much as I can. Coming from California, where everything's farm to table, it's not hard. But here in Texas, where the growing season for anything is really short, except for kale, you can get kale and chard all year long. It's just not the. It's not the same as California, so it's trickier, it's harder, and sometimes the look of the produce that you're getting is really not so appealing to the eye.
Ugly fruit.
Yes, but it's delicious. There's nothing wrong with it. Like the citrus here, it looks horrible, but when you open it up, it's beautiful. It tastes great. So learning different tricks to, I do a lot of preserving, especially with citrus, because it looks better. You don't have, to deal with the outside.
The bruising.
And stuff. So it's been a great challenge to, I also went to school in Vermont, so produce there. Worked in Oregon, produce there. It's easy to use their produce.
Isn't it crazy when you're over there in that part of the country where they have like the marine layer and everything? You're driving down the road and you see on the side of the road 10 artichokes for $1.
Yeah. You're like, that's crazy. And the cost is a little bit higher here, too, to deal with the, it's just so hot and it doesn't cool down at night. And that's the issue that that Texas has with growing produce. So it's been fun and it's been a challenge to see what there is and how I can use it. And then as soon as I have an idea and I can't source it locally anymore is always a frustration. So I've learned to be very vague with my terms on my menus for clients.
We make a lot of pico here.
Yeah.
Salsa.
Throw that on the Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, pico on the sprouts.
There you go. We've lost my train of thought. Anyway.
Yeah, it'd be great to use more local farms, but just finding them without farm to table is difficult.
Well, they're such a great. Sam and that's what's his name?
Is it Ed?
John Lash.
John Lash. Yeah,
those guys have really brought something special to Austin.
Yeah, they have.
I remember back in the day whenever they were starting out, and they would drive. They still do. They drive all over the state and bring it back. And, you get.
Sam's favorite.
He likes to drive because he goes on the drive and he gets his time and he gets to connect with the farmers.
Well, I remember when we were so small that I wouldn't even qualify for deliveries. So I would have to drive out, and I don't even know if they're still out there. They were out towards the airport off Montopolis area.
Yeah, is
it still there?
It's over towards by where Ranger Cattle is out there. Okay.
Yeah. Well, no. So they've moved then. So
they got a big warehouse now.
So when I was there, it's like, if you know where Howdy Honda is.
Yeah.
So they used to be over there off Montopolis and all that. So I remember going back, I'd go and pick up little things and microgreens. This is when I was like a little one-man show. But
it's funny how all the microgreen operations have popped up around town too. And mushrooms also.
Yes.
Pretty neat. I mean, especially during the COVID deal, a lot of people, like you said, pivot, have tried to figure out, like the chef from Lucky Robot. What's his name?
Chef
Julio.
Jay. I was thinking Jay, but so he's no longer with Lucky Robot.
Yeah, he was, and now whenever COVID came on, he started the Peruvian
out of his
restaurant
house.
Out of his house. And now
taking orders on Instagram.
He's doing private chef dinners.
Wow.
Yeah, he's killing it. And he's bringing his kids for the dinners and teaching them the business.
Nice. Yeah, it's one thing is that it's one thing that I know a lot of folks out there worry, or I've been asked lately. So do you feel threatened? What do you feel about all this kind of uprising or upspring of chefs in the market? And I'm like, I love it, because the more chefs that are here, the more exposure us as an entire sub industry becomes. People learn more about it. I mean, my biggest for the first, 5 years of my business, my biggest challenge was educating people that would call, because they would say, so I want to do like a dinner party at my house, but I don't really want to cook. And I was wondering if someone could come, like, can you drop it off? And I'm like, absolutely. It's exactly like, we don't drop it off. We're going to come cook in your house. And that's exactly what we do. And it's going to be almost like this really fine dining restaurant. They're like, do you mean you guys do that? I'm like, not only do we do it, but we're freaking badass at it. Like, we specialize in it. And so now the conversations are much different. Like I said, as I feel like the general public's becoming much more educated.
You've built trust.
We've built trust, but I think it's also because our our industry, like I said, the sub industry as a whole is growing. And so every time you book a client, every time everyone books a client, it's just continuing to expand out that knowledge of, okay, this service exists. And then we're all, and because I don't have the famine mindset. Like, I agree. There's enough business for all of us in this town.
It can keep growing and growing and like bring awareness, and then like only the good ones are going to stick around.
Well, I mean, think about it's
a win-win.
Think about the breadth of Austin now. Think about how big Austin and the pockets and all the people moving here from places that are used to having private chefs, personal chefs.
Oh, is that new to Austin? Is that like
this business? I mean, you've been in it longer than. I mean, there's a couple other guys that have been around as long as you have.
I mean, I would say so. I've been at 8 years. I mean, when I think about the big guys, I've been at 8 years. Ryan over at Gather and Forge has been at like 5 or 6. I think the OGs. What I think OGs are like Eric at Culinary Misfits, Eric James. There's another guy, Adam Sprouted Personal Chef, something like that. He's been around for a long time. So there's some, again, there are some personal chefs. Well, shoot, Chad Holt with The Wandering Chef. I mean, that guy's been around forever. He's just built his little, and I love Chad because he's built his little pocket of clients. I don't think he takes on any new clients. He's like, I'm just happy with the few I got. They keep me busy.
Yeah, that's a great place to be.
It's a good place to be.
It is.
Yeah. I remember reading in Ryan's blog, and he was saying like whenever business first started and whenever he knew it was good or whatever, he was scared to death because he said in his email was like $150,000 worth of business that he hadn't even answered yet. I was like, I got to be careful. I don't want that to happen.
No. Well, and I was I was in an entrepreneurial group the other day, and I was talking about how some days I sit back and I think, okay, I've built a pretty successful business, and sometimes I sit back and I go, gosh, man, I think back when it was just me and I was a one-man band and how things were a lot simpler, and sometimes I'm like, do I, kind of yearn for those days a little bit, right? Like when it wasn't the big issues I was dealing with now, it was, crap, Central Market's out of bok choy. Yeah. Where do I go now? Like, where do I go to get, I put bok choy in my client's menu. Oh, crap, I got to go find it. Like that was my big problem for the day.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have.
It is.
It is a good problem to have.
In these days, yeah. And I mean, now though, I look back on just the team I've built and the company I've built, and I'm just really proud of kind of where we're at. And so
you should be.
I wouldn't trade it for the world, Kori.
It's a good story.
She's like, great. Is he trying to like fire all of us and take it back to a little tiny? No, I'm good.
Now, I'm curious, what's your hesitation for like getting in front of a camera and doing a little instructional video? Why? Come on.
So I don't have any problems getting in front of a camera. In fact,
because you're on 3 cameras right now.
Yeah, no.
Right, so it's not a problem.
In fact, I've been, sidebar. So when I went to college, I used to get elated at the beginning of the year when the professor handed out the syllabus and the final project was a presentation. I have no problems getting up in front of a group of people, giving a presentation, talking, public speaking.
Well, if you know what you're talking about.
That's true.
Well, see, the thing is I'm such a great bullshitter that I would wait till the night before. I would skim my notes. I would create an outline on a PowerPoint, on a PowerPoint, and I'd stand up and I would just have an outline and I would just wing it.
He's got the gift of gab.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, right? So I've been told.
But it's also fresh in your mind. It's not
true.
That bad of a
Well,
approach.
I mean,
I need to study and understand.
I mean, I'm not going to stand up and talk about like, the advanced tactics of chess or something I don't know anything about, right?
Right.
You can learn about it on Netflix.
But to your question, because I assume you're kind of asking about like cooking classes and stuff like that.
Yeah, the assembly kitchen was kind of neat.
So I don't have any aversion to getting in front of a camera. It's the cooking, it's the teaching cooking that I just.
Oh, so what about like side by side? If you just had like somebody staging with you, would you have a problem? Not a problem, but would you not enjoy it?
Here's the thing. I don't mind doing it as a hobby. It's not something that I want to build a business around. I don't have
the master class on Instagram with like Aaron Franklin cooking the brisket.
So I mean, like I've done that, right? So I've built, during COVID.
Oh, you did.
You'd have to dig into my Facebook lives, but I think somewhere in there I've done some instructional stuff. Yeah,
I was just curious.
Here's how you break down a pork rack.
Yeah, I think one of the ones I did when I was testing it is I did like knife skills and how to cut an onion.
Okay.
Onions have layers.
And how do you? I remember somebody asked that, like, It was on. It was on.
You get a
Facebook.
food processor and you throw it in. No, I'm kidding.
but it was like, how do you cut it? It's like, how do you answer that without like showing it?
Yeah.
When you think about the onion is layers, right? So if you cut it top, bottom off, and you cut it in half, and you're gonna have a bunch of layers.
I started attempting to like, and I was like, you can't type this.
This part confuses me. Like when you cut into this part, I don't.
So how do you do
and
that?
hot dog style.
Hamburger and hot dog.
So you start out cutting it like
Okay, that's what you
hamburger,
need to do. You cut the hamburger,
and then you cut it like a hot dog.
and then you got to cut it the
gotcha,
other
gotcha.
way.
I love
Hamburger.
Turn
that.
it the
The
90
hamburger
degrees.
hot dog.
Hamburger hot dog.
That's brilliant.
So you cut it like a hamburger. You cut it like
So
a
you
hot
cut
dog,
the
but then
top
you
and
have to
bottom
turn
off.
it 90 degrees and cut it again like
Yeah.
a
That's where you get your
That's what she'd have been like. What?
hamburger hot dog.
Yeah.
Hamburger hot dogs.
I mean, we pre-COVID, one of our clients, so we're the exclusive chefs for a very high-end appliance, kitchen appliance company, national brand. And so we would be hired to go to different places in Austin and San Antonio to do demos in these kitchens, right, on their appliances. And so what we would do is we would use these facilities to host our own private group cooking classes. And part of those would be I would do a little safety briefing, make sure, this is how you don't, because we have a bunch of, office people, right? Like Dell would bring their people in. So this is how you don't burn or stab your neighbor. These are kind of things about that. And then I'd give them a demo, and I would always do so here's how we were taught in culinary school, which, like you say, the worst thing you do is cut towards yourself. And so the first thing they teach you is to cut an onion towards yourself. Yeah. And then I was like, now this is how like prep cooks and really professional chefs do it. And you cut it in half, and then you cut it into half moons, and then do the whole tack, right? So I've demoed both of those before, and I think that going through that many times was where I lost my taste for the teaching class, because
Like, damn it, I don't want to cut another fucking onion.
Well,
It's
it
like
was because
hurting.
after 6 hours of herding kittens, I just wanted to scratch my eyes out, because.
Well, if you're doing
with
it,
onion
especially
fingers.
to people who, like, if you're staging, if somebody's staging on you, they want to know, right?
Sure.
But if you're teaching to like Dell folks, you're like,
Yeah.
who's retaining this?
Yeah.
Get back to your computers.
You
Yeah,
have a
I don't
bunch
have
of
any
tech
issue-
nerds
Yeah.
running around,
Right.
kind of ADD, like, oh my God, what about this? I saw this one time on this one show. Like, I watched this one thing, and you're like, I'm
Watch
just
how
gonna.
fast I can cut the onion. My fingers.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle, and unless you have a real passion for teaching, like I like mentoring. Like I have an assistant right now that she's very green, but she's very eager to learn, and that's fun for me to teach her. But to teach nerds on a computer that don't really care,
Little different.
No offense, nerds.
No offense, nerds. You guys are great.
We need you.
We're all
You fix
nerds.
I'm
you
a
fix
food
my
nerd.
phone all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a different component. So
Yeah.
we all have our passions, and so
No, but you said it's a good thing you set this up when you did 8 years ago. Whether or not you yearn for those days. Now you could be stuck with the restaurant and trying to keep, because you mentioned when we got this going, the kind of people pivoting and like doing all these incredible things, but there's been a lot of people who have attempted to pivot.
Yep.
And it's just
Still doesn't work.
doesn't work. It says not.
Well, and we even stepped out of our brand for a while just to survive, right? Like my brand has always been very high end, very luxury.
what'd you guys do?
Well, for a while we were cooking $13 a meal, $13 a serving meals for healthcare workers. Right?
Okay. Were you part of a group doing that?
Well, we had basically, there was a guy who was part of a 50c3 here that was accepting donations. And then he would turn around and he would find restaurants and he would find chefs to basically pay for the meals. But obviously, we charge $65 at least for a 3-course. That wasn't what he was looking for. He's looking for, something economical just to kind of take care of the healthcare heroes type thing.
Yeah.
And so we stepped out of what we would consider, it was food that was off brand for us, still quality, but just still that was a little off brand for us, just because we had to generate a little revenue there for a while just to keep the wheels in motion.
Some folks are still doing that.
Yeah. And they're in the like, we don't have it now. When March, April, when obviously folks weren't doing dinner parties, we, for a short period of time, had basically a date night delivered package where it was a 3-course oven ready kind of high-end menu.
Coco Bean.
Yeah, that we would deliver, and
What about wine and stuff? Y'all do wine service delivery?
who's asking?
Me.
Not
I want
the
you to come to my house and
TABC.
deliver. No, when you do service, you
So
don't do
yeah, we do service. Yeah, we do service. So we'll offer wine pairing suggestions. We
Recommended
offer
wine.
recommended wines.
I'll grab that for you if you'd like me to.
Exactly, kind of stuff. So yeah, we've always kind of been part of our. That's always kind of been part of our offering is to offer the entire experience.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that wine and booze is part of it, right?
It is. It's an experience. You're bringing an elevated experience into somebody's home.
Absolutely.
I do feel quite rude here, and if that didn't have water in it, I would fill this up because it's ironic that if anybody does go back and listen to your first episode, it was in October.
I know. Yeah, we were both doing sober October.
We
then
were
weren't
both then. Okay,
I think so.
So you haven't drank with each other either time?
no, and I feel kind of silly.
I'm
right
supposed
now.
to not be drinking, but I enjoyed this blends with you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so I got this bottle back in May, and I was like, I had some of it, as we saw. I brought it. It was already opened, and then I put it away. And I was reading. I'm a part of a couple bourbon groups on Facebook. Smoke and Mash.
Okay, cool.
Was on that one.
You know Nathan Perlman?
No, I don't know any of the guys on there.
you
I
got
just,
to. All
I
right.
just, I just joined recently. I'm a newbie when it comes to bourbon.
Okay.
But so I was reading through the comments of something recently, and one of the guys says, "Man," he's like, "Why? What are you waiting on?" He's like, "There's two great times to drink bourbon. The first day you buy it, and every day after." Like, he's like, so I was like, hell yeah! Like, what am I waiting for? I haven't seen Jason in a while, and I'm gonna pull that.
This is a shame.
I'm going to dump that water out?
So say, yeah, man, jump.
I'll dump the
Go
water.
for it.
You want to get some?
Yeah, we can do this. I got to
Yay.
dig in tomorrow. Meridian Hive is coming, so the hell with it.
Yeah.
All right.
you go.
So because I labeled
don't
this
let
month
me
Disciplined
corrupt
December.
I'm going to corrupt him.
Okay.
No, I don't. I think you're absolutely right. Every day after, right?
Yeah, just a little nip.
Oh, so cheers, chef.
Salud.
Hold on.
Okay. So, sorry. I guess that was my way of finagling a drink.
There you go.
Sorry.
I think well finagled. Well played, my friend.
Yeah, but you came in October, and I was thinking as you were talking, because it's kind of crazy how lovely life was in a way.
It was.
It was normal.
You were here. We just had a podcast, and we had and then what 5 months, 6 months later, whatever it was,
The fit hit the shan.
everything happened. But I guess I'm happy to have you in here again.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing the bourbon, but not
Absolutely.
with some horrible story about what's going on.
No, I mean it's I've intentionally put my head down and just not paid attention to what's going on out in the world, and just kind of kept take care of those around me and tried to make the right decisions. And we still are faced with challenging decisions with what's going on. I mean, we had a client the other day that kind of threw us a curveball, and I had to really look back on what are our company's core values, what's important to us. And so I mean, it's interesting too, because I look back on COVID, and I look back on the work that I did in November, and right after your podcast, November, December, January, I really dug deep into some just like, what kind of company culture do I want to build? What do I want my core values of this company to be? Because we kind of hit the skids on some things, and really had, I mean, I look back on March and April of this year, and I think, you know what? It was those core values that became that we fell back on. Being a responsible steward of the community was the thing that came to me when someone approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to do $10, $12 meals for healthcare workers?" And I'm like, well, gosh, that's really off-brand for us, but hell yeah, why not? We'll do it. Not only it's a win-win, we're helping, we're helping those folks that were in the shits, and I'm able to keep my team employed, and we were able to get through it.
So you were doing a lot of those meals.
We did. There were a couple of weeks where we were doing hundreds of meals. in a
Yeah,
week.
that'll keep you busy, right?
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. So
And
Well, let's make a little cheers real quick.
cheers
To
again.
Yeah. There we go.
Jason?
How you like
Yes.
that ranch rider?
It's really
Fan?
good. I've never had it, but
Ranch Rider.
I'm a fan
So
of it.
I'll have to tell you. So I came into, and Corey thinks this. Corey gets a kick out of this.
Glad I did that.
So at the beginning of this year, pre-COVID, I came up with a hashtag, and the hashtag was "Make 2020 your bitch."
Yeah.
May 2020 your bitch.
And
Hashtag.
I just looked up at my mirror the other day because it's been sitting there ever since, and I was like, yep. 2020 is almost done. I think I can check that one off the list. Like, I
Nice.
think I made 2020 my
You know what
bitch.
happened in 2021, right?
What's that?
Mad Max.
Oh, yeah.
Thunderdome is coming.
Was it Thunderdome?
You know, I think it just depends on where you look in the world, but I think we're actually already there.
We're already in Thunderdome.
Yeah.
Welcome to Thunderdome.
But yeah, we're not out of the woods, right? You
No.
know, like yeah.
But-
But you guys are doing good. I think,
think
you're
we're in a
gonna
good
be able
spot.
to sustain.
Well, it's onward and upward.
That's right.
You know,
But pouring
Second
this,
start of the
I'm curious. I asked this last time, but we've got Corey here to ask
This is
too.
good.
You know, just your favorite restaurants, your favorite places
Around
to go
town.
eat.
Or in Texas.
I'll let Corey answer that one. I can tell you, like, I can, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Suerte would be my
Suerte.
favorite. I guess
Choice.
I think that was the last good meal before COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff though, right?
Yeah, really good.
Killing
That's my favorite place.
Yeah.
Derek Flynn, the pastry chef over there. I've had a chance to work with him, and his pastries are amazing. So
Nice. Any other spots? Yeah, you don't have to stop at one unless you'd like to.
I was going to toss in there. So we took the team. So shout out to Red Ash, and particularly Jared, the server over at Red Ash.
Oh, the Austin Artisan.
Yeah,
You guys
we
went
took
over
the whole
there?
team over there. Was
was-
it November when we did the team?
Yeah.
So just like in the last month, we went over there as a company kind of team outing. We did Top Golf and then went to dinner over there, and
You sit upstairs.
that's solid food, man. No, we had a table right there by the front door.
Nice. That's a good
Yeah.
spot.
That was
man.
great food.
it was really good.
We splurged and got the tomahawk.
yeah.
It was ridiculous.
What was the age on that thing?
40 something days,
40-something
I think.
days?
Yeah.
It
They
was
had the porterhouse when I was there last time. I had
Yeah.
that tomahawk.
Yeah.
Man, I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
place. It's good.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was doing keto then, so still am. So there were a couple things I couldn't indulge in, but
No pasta?
wine.
I didn't do the pasta. I take that back. I hope my
Okay, you
trainer.
got a bite.
Hopefully my trainer's not listening. I did take a bite, but it didn't not enough to throw me out of ketosis. But yeah,
It was
I was
all
like,
the wine he drank.
Yeah.
I was tasting the wine. So it's got to taste.
You spit, right?
That's right. Exactly.
And what about yourself?
I mean, I still say to this day that Suerte was probably one of the best meals I've had.
Good, tell me.
I'm a big fan of Suerte. Red Ash I think is a top favorite of mine. I got to tell you, and being that we live like a golf shot away, I mean Valentina's barbecue
Oh my gosh.
is ridiculous.
I see it on- you got the sticker right here in your little water bottle.
I mean
yeah.
it's ridiculous. I mean
It
talk
is
about
ridiculous.
meat sweats, man.
So I was gonna ask favorite taco or favorite barbecue, but I think you just answered both of them.
Yeah.
The real deal Holyfield, brother. There
you go.
Right there.
I am,
That's just love in a tortilla.
I think you're planting a bug because I've wanted to get him in here, but it's time.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the fire pits and the names and all that kind of good stuff.
I was being spoiled. I wanted Aaron and Miguel.
That would be a great conversation.
It would be a good
You
conversation.
hear that, guys?
It would be. But
It would be interesting to sit in a room with the two of them and just be a fly on
I'm
the
just
wall
gonna sit back
and just listen to the two of them just like compare notes
and go.
right.
they're both big fans of each other's barbecue.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I just think
I think that's Aaron's favorite is
so I just watched Aaron Franklin's masterclass on and
do you have to pay for that or can you just watch it?
well,
You can watch like 25 seconds.
I
of it.
may or may not have procured a login from somebody.
Red color.
But yeah, you have to pay for it. And funny thing is like a week before that, I was shopping for pellet smokers. And after watching that, I was like, nope, I'm going to have to go get the old offset. So
We're getting the login number.
me at my office.
You want a Traeger? Yeah.
I thought about the Traeger, but like I said, after watching his,
Oh,
I
I
was
got
like,
you.
nope. I'm gonna do old school offset.
Need to go.
Yeah, man.
So now I got to find someone to build me.
I got a
one.
buddy who has a plasma cutter. He's got the welder. He actually built I think it was a 500 gallon propane tank he built it out of.
See, all of my buddies are like, yeah, man, get this one and put
get
it
the
on a
propane
trailer.
tank,
I'm
yeah.
like, dude, I don't have that many. Like, I don't want to cook 29 briskets. I'll never eat it all.
So
I want one. I like one a nice 4-footer.
12 is the amount of briskets that you want to cook.
12.
12 briskets.
What am I going to do with the other 11 and a half?
I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
You could offer that as like a special, right?
Yeah,
To your
I guess.
clients.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Corey? We're starting a barbecue business.
Yeah,
There
man.
you go. There
We
you
got
go.
to stay in
join
our
up with you
lane.
on that.
Stay in our lane.
Stay in our lane.
We should talk
I think
later.
that's worked pretty well for y'all so far.
Yeah.
But look, I want to thank you for coming back out. Is there anything Austin Artisan, like your clients or anybody potential clients, they would want to know?
I would say right now is, I want to talk to the service industry and just say if there's any chefs out there that are looking for a great place to come and learn and be a part of a great team of leaders. My passion this year is to build, in fact, I'm already working on it. We're developing an entire leadership development program within my company.
Beautiful.
To where Corey touched on it, the service industry has not historically been a healthy place to work. I want to change that, and I want to create. I mean, my goal is the Austin Artisan doesn't become the best personal chef business in town; it becomes known as a leadership incubator in the culinary world. And so, really, what we're looking for right now is any chefs that are looking for a change of pace, either want to get out of the restaurant world. We're always looking for great talent and for folks that want to grow and personally develop. And so, that's what I would say. Obviously, anyone wants us to come cook for them, that's cool.
Yeah.
My passion right now is really supporting the chefs in this town that are kind
And
of
that's who
struggling.
needs the support right now.
Absolutely.
It is true.
Absolutely. So, yeah, thanks for having us out, guys. This is
Thanks,
awesome.
guys.
Thank you.
Y'all were
Thank you
great.
for coming. Come back anytime.
For sure. Have to make it not a year.
Well, it's cool to be a year.
I know.
And especially with the year that we've been through.
It's got to savor it.
We'll see you in 6 months.
Yeah, right?
See you in 6
Exactly.
months.
Thanks,
We'll do a
guys.
biannual.
Bye, guys.